Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Am I audible? Yeah? Yes. All right. So I want to tell you a story. Many, many years ago, there was a town of the name of Buddhinagar, Buddhidesh. So what was the name of the town? Buddhidesh. In that town lived two young boys along with their families. Hare Krishna. Is it audible?
Just increase the volume a little bit.
Hare Krishna. Something. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram.
Looks like it is connected a little bit.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yes, now it's good. Music is good.
There is a Holy Spirit here in this house that is exerting some pressure on me, pulling it off the socket. That was just a joke. Please don't take that seriously. So Buddhi Desh. Yes?
Yes.
Two friends, two little boys. One of them was called Dharma Buddhi. The other's name was Papa Buddhi. Hare Krishna. There's really a spirit here. No, not you. I think it's it somehow it slips, I guess. Is this working now?
Yes, yes, a little bit less actually, but that's okay.
Yeah. It's not you. It's not you, Ishwar Krishna. It's not you. All right. So, Dharma Buddhi, Papa Buddhi, two friends. Remember those names. All right. So the two boys grow up. Dharma Buddha is hardworking. Dharma Buddha is focused. Dharma Buddha is kind and helpful. Papa Buddhi is self centered. Papa Buddhi is selfish. Has issues with anger, etc. They're friends. They grow up into two young men, Dharma Buddhi and Papa Buddhi. Papa Buddhi understands that he is not liked by many people in that town. Dharma Buddhi, on the other hand, has a lot of goodwill. Therefore, Dharma Buddhi has better career prospects than Papa Buddhi. Dharma Buddhi does not feel that he is different in any ways. But Papa Buddhi, he feels that he needs to move out of town. But if he goes to another town, he calculates that, or he makes his calculation that if Dharma Buddhi goes along with him, then he could use Dharma Buddhi's skills to make a lot of money. So he convinces Dharma Buddhi to go to another town. They start fresh. Dharma Buddhi, being very industrious, makes a lot of inroads in that town. Papa Buddhi convinces him to have a partnership. So ultimately, they make a lot of money. Then Papa Buddhi says, Dharma Buddhi, let us go back to our village, to our town. We have made sufficient money. So now we can go back and live with our families. And whatever are our needs, we can use all of this money that we have collected, we have made, we can use it. So Dharma Buddhi agrees. So they go back to their town. Before they enter their town, Papa Buddhi, he convinces Dharma Buddhi that it would be helpful to them that the people of the town do not know that they have made so much money. So Dharma Buddhi says, all right, whatever you decide. So he says, let us bury this money in the forest outside of a town. And we know where it is. We'll take some with us for our needs. And whenever we need more, we'll come back, dig up our money, divide it amongst ourselves, and take it. So Dharma Buddhi agrees. They bury their money, take sufficient with them, go back to the villages, and they're living happy lives with their families. After a couple of weeks, when everyone in the village is now quiet because the first week was very, very busy for the two of them. They had a lot of visitors, village folk, their friends coming and meeting them. So the second week, everything has settled down. So on one of those nights, Papa Buddhi, he goes into the forest, digs up the entire money that is there, and takes it home. The next morning, he goes to Dharma Buddhi's place and he says, "Hey, I have a big family, so I have used up all of my money. I need more money. So let us go to the forest and let us take some money from where we have kept it." So Dharma Buddhi agrees. They go into the forest, they dig up that place. Obviously, there's no money there. So Papa Buddhi immediately starts accusing Dharma Buddhi. You have cheated me. I trusted you. Behind my back, you have come and you have stolen all of our money. My life is in ruins now. I need justice. And then he throws up a tantrum. My life is lost. What will I do? Oh God. Dharma Buddhi is also shocked because his money is gone too. So he says, this is not good. Somebody has stolen our money. Papa Buddhi says, you have stolen it. So finally, they take the matter to the court. So the townspeople, understanding that there are no witnesses here, they say there is only one way that we can try and resolve this dilemma. We worship the Supreme Lord. So let us go to the temple and there we'll ask the Supreme Lord to give us justice. So that temple was supposed to be the temple of the living God. You know, the temple of the living God. There actually people felt that God reciprocated in a personal way. So Papa Buddhi, he understood that this could go against him. So he said, I completely agree. But then, why don't we ask the spirit of the tree? And the tree spirit will tell us. So townspeople, they said, yeah, that is also true. Let us go to the forest and ask the tree spirit to tell us what happened to the money. So they decided to perform some religious customs in preparation of this event where they would go to the forest deity and put this case before the tree spirit. So they said that for 2 days we should all perform some austerities and there are certain customs that they had to perform. So they did that. Meanwhile, Papa Buddhi told his father that, Dad, I have all the money. I need your help. So Papa Buddhi's father his name is Kapataraj. So now we have the town is called as Buddhi Desh. Dharma Buddhi and Papa Buddhi are friends, and Papa Buddhi's father's name is Kapataraj. The rest of the characters and their names are not very important, so they have not been mentioned. So Kapataraj says, I'm totally with you. What is the plan? He says, tomorrow morning we will be going to the tree in the forest. The tree is hollow from inside. So I've created an opening in the tree for you to enter inside the hollow trunk. You go and sit there before anyone sees you, before anyone is awake. You go to the forest, enter the tree, the trunk of the tree, and sit inside. And when we all come, I will ask, who stole the money? And you should say, Dharma Buddhi has stolen the money. So everything went according to plan. Dharma Buddhi was shocked. Even the tree spirit is speaking lies. I mean, spirits are not supposed to speak lies. Therefore, everyone says, in a true spirit, in the right spirit, please do the right thing. Typically, spirits are truthful. At least that is how society understands it to be. So Dharma Buddhi is shocked. Meanwhile, the townspeople, they are talking amongst themselves, and the elders, they come to a decision. They said, Dharma Buddhi has committed this crime, so he needs to be punished. And they're deciding on what the punishment could be. So meanwhile, Dharma Buddhi, because he's also quite intelligent, he thinks that maybe there is something fishy here, there's something not correct here. So he gathers some dry leaves and twigs and puts it all around the tree trunk and lights fire to that. Very soon, there is dense, acrid smoke all around the tree, and that enters the tree trunk. So the old man inside feels suffocated. So he comes out. Everyone sees him coming out of the tree. Oh, what are you doing there? Why were you inside the tree trunk? He's like, I'm sorry. He spills the beans, so to say. He tells the entire story. Oh, Papa Buddhi, you are very notorious. We punish you. And they removed him from that town. Have you heard this story before? This story is from the Panchatantra. What is a Panchatantra? The Panchatantra were books that grandmothers would tell their grandchildren through generations in India. It was through such stories that children understood moral values. In today's times, we have to send them to Sunday school. In days or ages not long ago, in every house there was a Sunday school teacher. And the name of the Sunday school teacher was Granny. See, Grandpa was working hard, toiling all day. Grandma in those days would stay home. Both of them knew these stories. But grandma was always available for the children, the grandchildren. So the grandmother would be a repository of so many wonderful stories, so many lessons. Now, most of us here consider ourselves to be adults. So, why are we being told children's tales? Because the story has something for all ages. So, as adults, what is the age appropriate understanding of this story? This story speaks about the spiritual journey, or it speaks about the journey of a spiritual being in the material world. In the material world, the spirit soul takes birth, and the place where the spirit soul comes is a place where the spirit soul has to apply one's intelligence and one's mind. All of us have to do that. Therefore, typically, right since birth till the time we give up our body, we are supposed to be seeking knowledge. Always. So, what is Buddhi Desh? It is material existence. In material existence, we always have two options. The first option is represented by Dharma Buddhi. The second option is represented by Papa Buddhi. When Dharma Buddhi and Papa Buddhi are not very well supported by, by the senses, when the senses are really very young and immature. For example, today we would be, oh, by the way, today is also the birthday of Shoresh and and now it's the birthday of Soresh and Aditri. So the children all know it. So there's going to be a cake. So when there's a cake, the children are going to eat as much as they can. The adults have developed senses. Depending upon how close you are to the family, you have already made certain arrangements. There are already certain calculations done because your senses are more developed. Oh, is this cake sugar free? It's not that I will not eat the cake because developed senses, right? So when you're young, the inclination to sense enjoyment is not really refined. Therefore, these two options are overshadowed by what our elders tell us. If a child is a little naive, a child does not really understand sense gratification. An adult very well does. Last time when they came to our party, they ate so much. Children, when we go to their house, so then the children are taught like that. So children do not really understand sense gratification. The elders guide them. So dharma buddhi and papa buddhi are just in the growing phases, in the growing phase. But very soon they are going to become mature. That is when papa buddhi realizes that dharma buddhi has certain uses in this world. That is where, as young adults and adults thereon or thereafter, we use every trick that we know to see how we can manipulate our way through creating an image of being acceptable to society and get the most for ourselves. And typically, in the this is 21st century. So typically in the 21st century, this has been so finely tuned. The art of manipulation has gone through all training of seminars of self management, time management. What is that? Being a team player. Because the goal of all of it is how can you become the CEO? How can you be the beneficiary? In today's times, if you talk of the values of how Bharat was so dedicated to Lord Ram, and I'm like, what? Of how Vibhishan was such a good friend to Lord Ram, and Ram was such a good friend to Vibhishan that even after Ram won the kingdom, he's like, hey Vibhishan, why don't you be the CEO? What about you? Well, I'll go and see if Bharat wants me to be the king or not. No one can relate to these values unless and until it is for developing the value system of their children. Adults particularly cannot relate to it. It's very difficult. I mean, one day a week, or let's say a particular time slot in a day, is where you accept that. You'll put on your traditional attire, or one will put on one's traditional attire, like whatever is a deity. And once that time slot is done with, one is back into the groove because it is a dog's race, cat race, whatever you call it. That's how society is. Look at social media today. Most of the family pictures, Hare Krishna. This is again gone. Most of the family pictures will be with parents and their own children. Look at the portraits from 3 generations back. And then you would say, that is our joint family. And whose child is very difficult to understand. No wonder we hear that Kaikai loved Ram more than even Kaushalya loved Ram. Where do we find that today? What can you do? That is all the training that we receive through the seminars. It's all about how you can develop your own skill sets. So, if you develop the skill set to be the leader of the team, you have to be the leader of the team. The group discussion also, the emphasis is on who can lead the pack. And since now both the genders are in the arena of trying to make a career, practically at home there are no more grandmas anymore. Therefore, what do we need? We need temples where somebody would do some classes for children. There was a family that would send their child to Sunday school, sixth grader. So the sixth grader comes home and says, I think I'm going to become a renounced person. I think I'm going to become a sannyasi. And everyone is like, wow, this is amazing. They're like telling all their friends, a child wants to become a sannyasi. The child comes to 12th grade, and when the child says, I think I'm going to be a sannyasi, 90% or maybe 99% of the same family members are like, son, it is not so simple. Being a sannyasi is very difficult. You know, you have to live such an austere life. So the child is a little confused. So the child calls the temple priest home. Please come home. The temple priest comes home, being invited. So the parents are there, the grandparents are there, family relations are there. So the priest is kind of cornered. It's like the Chakravyuha. Please tell our son. Please convince our son. Should we be focusing on career? So the grandparents, they chip in. They're like, please tell this child, this is not the child's age to take up the to a life of renunciation. One must first work in life, understand what it means to control one's senses while living in the world, and then one can take up to renounced life, become a sannyasi. So the 12th grader hears this. He says, that makes sense. Good advice. So I think I'm not going to become a sannyasi right now. I'll stay at home. I'll do college, work, and as advised by my grandparents, after I've lived my life, having a family, then I will take up to renounced life. Everyone is feeling a little more peaceful now. So the son brings out the dress of a sannyasi that the son had kept in his locker since sixth grade. He brings it out and he gives it to his grandparents, his grandfather, and says, can you take up renunciation now? Because that is what you advised me. Would you like to take up renunciation? After that, the grandparents no longer had any issues with the child wanting to become a sannyasi. This is a true story. not speaking about people. We don't encourage people to become renounced or sannyasis. But what we are speaking about is dharma buddhi and papa buddhi. Dharma buddhi is that which is hardworking, industrious, focused, kind, helpful, and papa buddhi is that which is selfish, self-centered, issues with rage, hate, jealousy. But since both are buddhi, which means both have power of analysis, papa buddhi very soon realizes the benefits of having dharma buddhi with you. Very soon papa buddhi realizes that. So therefore, Papa Buddhi encourages Dharma Buddhi to a certain extent. Let us be friends. Let us work together. Let us collect a lot of money. Let us collect a lot of assets. And then we'll divide it amongst ourselves. So the hard-working Dharma Buddhi works along with Papa Buddhi to get all of these assets. And finally, when it comes to each getting their hard-earned money, Papa Buddhi wants to take it all. Enjoy everything. My dear Lord, please, I promise you, every day I will come and make an offering unto you till I get my visa. And after that, every day becomes every Sunday. Because Papa Buddhi wants to usurp everything that Dharma Buddhi has. However, Dharma Buddhi may be a little simple hearted, but Dharma Buddhi is not stupid. So when Dharma Buddhi decides to analyze things, that is where Dharma Buddhi exposes Papa Buddhi through the fire of sacrifice. Everyone, by their own intent or consciousness, by their own deduction, and also the culture, the family in which they grow up, the traditions that they carry, the values that they grow up with, has an understanding of what is material and what is spiritual. The understanding of spirituality being the basis of existence is Dharma Buddhi. And Dharma Buddhi is always challenged by the desire to enjoy one's senses. When one wants to enjoy one's senses, when one wants to have enjoyment for oneself, one is ready to give up all kinds of relationships if that is what needs to be sacrificed. In fact, in today's times, you may also give up the institution of marriage. Yeah. We no longer feel that we have that fire amongst us or we have a lot of problems, and therefore we separate. I'm not speaking about whether it is right or wrong. What I'm speaking about is we no longer feel, which basically means that I no longer feel comfortable in this relationship. In previous times, if two brothers would think about going their own ways, it was considered to be sacrilege. Therefore, when Ram and Bharat were being separated, everyone was denouncing Kai. But then it was very much acceptable if two brothers got separated. If a family got bifurcated, it was very much acceptable. Over a period of time, especially in the present times, it's very much acceptable that in the institution of marriage, two people can be separated and it's perfectly all right. It's perfectly all right. And it has come to the extent that even if my children go to foster homes, it's perfectly all right. Why? Because I am comfortable giving up all of these relationships. This is called as Papa Buddhi, the desire to have all enjoyment for oneself. I want to see the world function according to my perspective. The day Dharma Buddhi starts putting its foot down, the day an individual decides that spiritual existence is the basis of all my actions, that day Papa Buddhi will become suffocated. Now, I could have told that to you by just quoting a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. You would have heard it, I would have spoken about it, and we could have gone our ways. But we've seen it for the past 100 years that this is no longer working. So then we have to come up with our ancestors understanding this particular situation. They came up with such wonderful insights through stories. And then we try to make it relevant in today's times. Just to come to a simple conclusion, a very, very simple understanding, which shouldn't take a lot of effort. But let's just see how much effort we have to put into it. What is it? Dharma Buddhi has to be more active. Very simple. Not active for 1 hour or 2 hours a day. Not just that. Dharma Buddhi has to become active 24 hours a day. Then Papa Buddhi will feel affected, and ultimately the senses will reject Papa Buddhi, our mind will reject Papa Buddhi, our ego will reject Papa Buddhi. I don't think so. I don't want to live a life like that. I don't want to lead a life which, according to my perspective, is selfless. But actually, it is a very, very benign form of selflessness, a very, very insignificant form of selflessness. When I was small, I had no idea who all would be visiting our home. I mean, my grandparents' homes. Every day, from somewhere or the other, somebody would be coming to our house, and the ladies of the house would be offering them prasad. They would be, if they needed a roof over their head for a day, some shelter for a day, they would sleep in the outside chambers, maybe in the veranda, the open space, something like that. And we did not even have so many assets that people would come and steal from us. There's just some grains, cows, livestock, a well, trees. I mean, all of these assets are so difficult to steal. Then we decided to invest all of those assets into what is called as currency and stocks. Since then, we have more empty rooms and less visitors because it's so easy to steal these assets that one feels fearful. So one day, I asked my grandparents that who are these visitors that come and go? My grandparents said that, oh, they're just visiting a town. And incidentally, this was not a one off incident. Practically every house would do that. In today's times, if we go out on one day a week for food distribution, we post it on social media. If my grandparents were here and if you know their ancestors were here and we would ask them, you never felt the need to post it on social media every day like today we had 10 people eat at our house? They never felt. There was no need. Why? Because it was an ordinary day to day incident in everyone's lives. So no one felt that there was someone exceptional doing it. And that is why it was easy for them to have dharma buddhi more strong, dharma buddhi exerting its influence on papa buddhi. So we, as spiritual beings having a human experience, we have to try and really make a good assessment of what our existence is. It shouldn't be based on somebody who sits on a high seat telling us, oh, this is what scripture says, and this is what is the right way to live life. It shouldn't be like that. I asked a few people. I, I'm a monk, so I meet a lot of monks, other monks, and I asked them, the older monks, I asked them, why is it that in the olden days there was not so many prominent mathadhishas becoming, so popular like every day? Somebody or the other is always there. My guru is from here, my guru is from there. I asked them, why in the olden days that was not there? And they said that because in every house, every single member and adult was well educated in spiritual values. And I'm like, yeah. Today I have to try and remember certain verses from the Bhagavad Gita. My grandmother remembers so many shlokas. Some of them were not like, or from the Bhagavad Gita or Vishnu Sahasranam or uh, some other, our local temples, patrikas, Siddhant patrikas. But grandmothers, grandfathers, they knew so many prayers. Not just in the local language, Prakrit Bhasha, they also knew it in the Sanskrit Bhasha. So I asked them, where did they learn it from? Oh, just in the fields they would, or in the festivals they would sing, in the fields they would sing. I'm like, yeah, we also do that. At the temples, we always sing Jai Jagadish Hare. Other than that, we don't know any other song. But these people would know dozens and dozens of songs. How is it? And and they told us, well, when I was talking to these monks, this is what they told us. Today, you know a lot of songs, but most of them had nothing to do with spirituality. It's to do all about how I look good, how you look good, and how you can be good to me, and how I can be good to you. How my dog is good, my cat is good, my house is good, and my description of heaven is good. So, in the times when Dharma Buddhi was more popular as the conscience of society, there would be stories of Harishchandra. There would be stories of Yayati. We've maybe the children have not names. At the most, children have heard the names of Vishnu, Narayan, Krishna, Arjuna. You talk to them about Harishchandra, Yayati, Nala Damayanti, Shakuntala, Bharat, the other Bharat, not Raghuvangshi Bharat. Therefore, those songs were popular. Slowly, it changed to how it should be about local cultural values. And because local cultural values now transformed into I like this about you, you like this about me. Therefore, such songs are popular now. Once a gentleman wanted to make a move into another city, another town. So he wanted to know what he could expect in this new town. So he goes to the local priest. These are times where the temple would be the center of most of the information that you could get, the center of the town, of the village. Because everyone in the village would come to the temple, so that is where you could know everyone. If you visited the village priest would know most of the people in the village because everyone would interact with the village priest. So he comes to the village priest and he says, I'm thinking of moving into your village, into your town. What should I expect in this town? Please tell me something about this town. So the village priest asked him, how is the town from where you're making your move? He said, oh, my town is dull. It has nothing there. People are all, they are all into, there are no good relationship with people. They all fight with each other. So the village priest said, well, this town is no different from your town. So he says, oh, maybe I should just stay in my town. The next day, another gentleman comes to the village priest. I'm thinking of moving into your town. How is your town? He said, how was it the town that you're wanting to make your move from? He said, oh, wonderful town. All the people are very nice. Everyone takes care of each other. The town is very clean. We try to keep it clean. So he said, this town is no different from your town. So he said, all right, I can very well easily make the move then. So this is a Zen story. You know what is a Zen story? A Zen story is that which is accepted by the present generation to be really very mindful, full of mindfulness. Zen story. So what is the conclusion of this story? What your values are is how you'll perceive a place and how you'll use the resources of that place. Whatever your values are, whatever your outlook towards life is. Hence, that which we always, everyone, whether they are really into spirituality or they completely are disbelievers, what everyone is looking for is peace of mind, happiness. They want to be happy with themselves, not in conflict with anyone or with within or without. They don't want to have any conflict. Nobody wants that. And each person in this entire spectrum, every single one of them, this is my belief, maybe you can disagree with it. This is my understanding that every single person in the spectrum, from the disbeliever at one end to somebody who's totally into spirituality, and everyone in between, everyone agrees that in today's times, materialism does not have the answer. Everyone believes that. Even the disbeliever who says that, hey, just eat, drink, and be merry, they're like, because tomorrow we don't know what is going to happen. So try and be happy today. There are always chances that tomorrow you may not have those opportunities, which means that materialism does not have the answer. So, why don't intelligent people really try out spirituality with sincerity? They should. And when with sincerity we take up to spiritual practices, our outlook in life accordingly transforms. That could be our Newtonian moment. Everyone sees apple falling, not everyone is interested in knowing why. But if you're interested in knowing why it falls, then you get to be a Newton. So everyone wants to practice spirituality, but not everyone wants to do it sincerely. Everyone wants to do spirituality, but not everyone wants to do it sincerely. And one who wants to do it sincerely, that person becomes a Newton of spirituality. They understand the why. They understand the science. So what does it mean? Sincerity. Basically, it means that which we value sufficiently enough to put our money on. If today we are asked that can you put half of your bank balance, can you trade it on spiritual practices? What would be our answer? But if somebody asks us, Can you trade it on some of your material achievements or aspirations? What would be the answer? Most probably for material aspirations, we may think of putting our money on it. But for spiritual practices, we are like, why do we need to put so much money on it? Why does God doesn't need anything? What is spirituality? It is all about being in the present. And those justifications or similar justifications are enough for an honest person to evaluate one's sincerity, especially in terms of spiritual practices. What does spirituality need? What does dharma buddhi need? Sacrifice. What is sacrifice? The English word sacrifice means to give up, but the Sanskrit word for which sacrifice is used as a very limited expression of its, as a very limited translation of what the Sanskrit word is tyag. Sacrifice is very limited in expressing what is tyag. Tyag and bhog are two words that are opposites in the Sanskrit dictionary. Bhog is sense enjoyment for oneself. Tyag is sense enjoyment for the Supreme Lord. The English word sacrifice means giving up sense enjoyment. Therefore, for those who have a devotional outlook in life, tyag is non different. It is a synonym for bhakti. Because tyag means sense enjoyment of the Supreme Lord. So previously, in bhoga, we would cook for ourselves. We would cook. Pani puri. We would cook pani puri for ourselves. It's called pani. Everyone knows pani puri. But in Tyaga, we cook pani puri for the Supreme Lord. In Bhoga, we decorate the house for ourselves. In Tyaga, we decorate the house for the Supreme Lord. In Bhoga, we try to outdo ourselves in celebrating our own birthdays. In Tyaga, we try to celebrate the birthday of Krishna in a very superlative manner. Therefore, the word sacrifice does not completely define Tyaga. So, Tyaga is sacrifice where we engage our senses in activities for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Why do we do that? Because in spiritual circles, there is a very strong belief that we are all part and parcels of the Supreme Lord. Very, very strong belief. Hence, one tries to reorient our value system and our perspectives in life if we want to take up spiritual life sincerely. A very famous Vaishnava poet, Govinda Das Kaviraj, he expresses this emotion beautifully in poetry. He says, Bhajahu re mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare Durlabha Manava Janama Satsange Tarahoe Bhava Sindhure. Oh dear mind, worship the son of Nanda Maharaj, Krishna. His lotus feet offer fearlessness. Having received fearlessness by taking shelter of his lotus feet, one can easily cross over the ocean of material existence. He sings further. Shita atapa patabarishana edina jamini jagire. He says, typically in material existence, what will you find? You'll find Shita, winter days, days that are cold, dry, windy, Atapa, sunny days, really hot days, days when you perspire, you feel really hot, sticky, humid, Bata, stormy days, Barishan, rainy days. And this is how one lives life. There was once a woman, an old lady who had two daughters. Somehow or the other, she found good husbands for her daughters. She married one daughter to a man who had a business selling papad. What is papad called as? What do you call it as? Fryams? Papad. Everyone knows papad. And she sold and she married the second daughter to a man who had a business of selling umbrellas. So whenever the rains would fall, she would cry. People would ask her, "Why you're crying?" "Oh, my daughter was married to the papadwala. They have no business now because you make papad, you have to dry it out in the sun. It's raining." She would cry. And whenever there would be a sunny day, she would again cry. "Oh, my daughter who's married to the one who sells umbrellas. There's no one who's going to buy umbrellas." Big problem. So she goes to a Hare Krishna sadhu. So sadhu tells her, very simple. See, solutions in life can sometimes be very simple. She says, he tells her that whenever it rains, be happy for the daughter that is married to the umbrella wala. And days that are sunny and dry, be happy for the daughter that is married to the papadwala. She's like, wow, Swamiji, you're God for me. I was going to this deep depression because of this problem. Please come to our town, hold seminars on this. And thus began the days of the Swamiji giving seminars on umbrella walas and papad walas. My, in my young days, we had this. We would interact with the older generation a lot because we did not have much of TV. I think it was when I finished high school. That was when I saw color TV. Can you imagine?
80, 90, 80, 80.
Something like that. A color TV. Oh, this big, huge, thick boxes like that. And we had to go to an uncle's house. Uncle, please, can we come on a Sunday? Somebody who had a TV, we would know that, oh, the daughter got married to. No, nice dowry has come in. TV had come in. Yeah. So we would interact with the elders a lot. We had a lot of time. So I would ask them. I still remember in those days. This was before coming to ISKCON. How can you always believe in God? I mean, okay, when you're happy, you can say this is because God's will. But when there are miseries, is that still God's will? And many people I've seen, even in today's times, they say, yeah, everything is God's will, so just accept it. But the common sense that these elderly generation had, I'm not sure if you've heard this answer before, but please remember this answer. They said, whenever you have happy moments in life, we understand that it is God who has given it to us. And whenever we have miserable moments in life, we understand that it is God who can take away these miseries from our life. Brilliant answer. No longer we have to defend that how God is the cause of all happiness and distress. The giver of happiness, the Supreme Lord, and one who can remove all our obstacles, Supreme Lord. And therefore, in happiness and distress, we still are believers. Did you hear this before? In this context of how even in miseries, one can still attribute or one can still justify taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. And I asked them later on, I asked them, which seminar did you attend? Whose seminar? Which spiritual teacher taught you this? They said, well, our grandmother taught us. Was she a big spiritual teacher? She was a simple lady. She would make papads. Papad. So Shita Atapa Bata Barishana Edina Jamini Jagire Bifale Sevino Kripana Durjana Bifale Sevino Kripana Durjana Chapala Shukha Laba Lagire. In my stupidity, I've tried to serve a master that is so ruthless. And that master is material happiness. I tried to serve this master in every single way possible. I've done fasts for this master. I've worked overtime for this master. I have sacrificed family relationships for this master. People would ask me, "You, I mean, your family misses you." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. But ultimately, we'll be happy. You're working so hard. Your health is suffering. Ultimately, I'll have money to take care of my health." Ruthless master. Occasionally, this master gives us moments where we feel that, oh, the master is pleased. Today I'm happy. And then immediately, the master once again demands service. Again, we have to work overtime. Again, we have to struggle to serve this master. So that is called as Kripana Durjana, miser. Material happiness as a master is big time miser. You expect that material happiness should give you 40 ounces of happiness, it gives you zero point 0.4 ounces of happiness and convinces you next time you'd get more. ए धन यौवन पुत्र परिजना इथे के आछे परोती तीरे कमल दल जल जीवन तल मल कमल दल जल जीवन तलमल. When you're young, you are convinced and others convince you things will go all right. When you're a child, they convince you things will be all right when you become a young man or a young woman. As a young man or a young woman, they convince you that later in life, in midlife, you'll be happy. By the time you've lived your midlife, you're waiting for your retirement to be happy. When you had only $1,000, you were convinced and others convinced you that $5,000 would make you happy. When you have $5,000, now you feel that $10,000 will make you happy. Others also convince you $10,000 will make you happy. Edhana, Yauvana, youth, Putra Parijana, friends and families. Etheke Achip, who is your well wisher? Who can you really, who would you really feel can show you the right path? Because everyone has similar ambitions in life. And Kamala Dala Janaji. And there is no assurance of how long life will last. Kamala Dala Jala. Life, water drops on a lotus leaf. They do not stay for long. Within moments, it just slithers off. So Kamala Dala Jala. Water drops on a lotus leaf. Jivana Talamala is synonymous to how a lifespan of 100 years is. Most of the adults, 40 years of life you've lived. Try to look back, go into flashback. At the most, within an hour, your flashback would be over. 40 years, and all you remember of it is not even worth an hour. That's how transient life is. So kamala dala jala jivana tala mala bhajahu haripada niti re. What remains with you, please understand. Everything else is very, very transient, very, very temporary. The body leaves you, wealth leaves you, family members leave you, your assets leave you. What remains with you is just Hari Bhajan. That never leaves you. At death, everything else is gone. The only thing that survives death and beyond is Hari Bhajan, the holy names. Therefore, Bhajahu Hari Pada Niti Re. Bhajahu Hari Pada. So please, the poet is really requesting all of us, please chant the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Final story. Lord Shiva, according to the Vedic understanding, has this inclination to stay in cremation grounds. You've heard about that? Especially in India, cremation grounds are sometimes called as Vaikuntha Dham. It's called Vaikuntha Dham. But typically in cremation grounds, we understand that a form of Rudra exists. Rudradev, Lord Shiva. So one day, I decided to interview Lord Shiva. Would like to know how that interview went. Asked him, Mahadev, Lord Shiva is also known as Mahadev. I said, Mahadev, I really would want to know how is it that you can be happy in a cremation ground? How is it that you live there? He said, well, I'll tell you a story. Many, many centuries ago, when I was completely, that particular day, which was for me like any other day, when I was totally immersed in chanting the names of Lord Ram, according to a lot of Hindu beliefs, Lord Shiva chants the name of Lord Ram. He said, when I was chanting the names of Lord Ram by myself, I heard the name of Lord Ram being chanted around me. I heard the name outside of me. I became very, very eager to find out who are these people who are chanting the name of my worshipable deity. So I saw that there was a crowd of people that was chanting Ram Ram. You're saying Ram Naam Satya Hai, Ram Naam Satya Hai, Ram Naam Satya Hai. I said, oh my God, they're chanting the names of Lord Ram. Now after some time I saw that this crowd went to this place, and then they had a stack of fire, a stack of firewood. On that they put a body, and they started burning that body. So I was like, all right, but these people are so nice because they're all saying Ram Nam Satya Hai Ram. Everyone is saying Ram Nam, Ram Nam, Ram. Everyone is taking the names of Lord Ram. So I started mingling amongst them because I like to hear people chant the names of Lord Ram. I like to hear the names of Lord Ram. So as I was standing beside one person who was in that ground where they were wanting to burn this body, he was like, I mean, today I was so busy and suddenly this person died. And I had to come here. I had to close my shop. So Lord Shiva, Mahadev, he told me, I got a little confused. So I thought that maybe I should go and associate with another person. So I go to like 2 steps to the other side and I overhear what they're saying. They're saying that life is so busy nowadays, I can never meet you. What is his son doing? I heard that he has passed college. He's out of college now. He's graduated. Did he get a job? Lord Shiva is like, I heard all these people are chanting Ram Ram, and now what are they discussing? Another person was like, this he had to die today itself. Today is a Sunday. I'm a salaried person. Only get one holiday. Sunday. That is when I sleep. Why couldn't he die on a Monday? So Lord Shiva said that since then I realized that you can never trust living beings. They may chant the name of Lord Ram, but that is superficial. So then I was wondering that why were they chanting the name of Lord Ram? So Mahadev is telling me that I asked one of the people in the crowd, why were you chanting the name of Lord Ram? They said, oh, the person died, no? Therefore, we are chanting the name of Lord Ram. It is auspicious. We are protected. It is good for the person also. So he said, since then I realized that if you're around dead people in the cremation, you'll always get to hear the name of Lord Ram. So now we realize why Lord Shiva wants to stay in the cremation grounds. Because he does not trust those who are alive. But he definitely trusts those who are dead. From a philosophical perspective, Lord Shiva is very merciful. However, he loves being with people who are dead materially. And he never trusts people who are alive materially. And hence, Lord Shiva is also known as the greatest of all Vaishnavas. Why? Because he likes to be in the association of those who are alive spiritually and dead materially. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments? All right, so we'll stop. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.